Y'all have had a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting. If there are no changes or discussion,
We need to call roll first.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's all. Master
Go
King?
ahead.
Here.
Master Barger?
Here.
Master Hughes?
Here.
Master Combs?
Here.
Judge Clark?
Here. Now, approval of the minutes, if y'all have had a chance to look at them.
So moved. Second.
Master King?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes. Glenn, I think you have a treasurer's report today.
I handed out the report for today, and also you have a copy of the quarterly report. The report today goes through 10/31 of 2012. As of 9/30/2012, we had $4,174,655.46 in the all funds. As of 10/31/2012, we had $4,528,088.84.
For what?
We had $4,528,088.84. As of the end of October, the general fund's revenues for the year is 25.5%. The expenditures are at 24.5%. The road fund revenues are at 48.6%, and the expenditures are at 28.3%. The jail fund revenues are at 46%. One reason that one's higher is because we get our state allotment all at one time now instead of monthly at the beginning of the year. Their expenditures are at 36.1%. CSEP, the revenues are at 13.3%, and the expenditures are at 12.9%. And the 911 fund, the revenues are at 29.8%, and the expenditures are at 21.4%. And like I said, I gave out the quarterly report. If you all have any questions about that, more than welcome to call. And do you have any questions right now?
Okay, any questions for Glenna? If not, thank you, Glenna. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll go on into order of business. First on the agenda is we talked a little bit about the home grant for housing renovations, maybe out around the Greens Crossing area for veterans. Is Brian here? Brian, you want to come up and talk to us a little bit about the possibilities and what it looks like? I know you all are doing the surveying.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, everybody. After looking at almost 40 houses out there, contacted about 40 families, we're able to come up with a list of folks that we think are the neediest and most viable. Now, of course, there are some homes we encountered, whether they're mobile homes or stick-built homes, that were it would just be too expensive to try to replace those, and I mean full replacement. So what we've dealt with is, like we talked about last time I was here, was try to deal with folks that are elderly and disabled and help them with disability issues, ramps, making their bathrooms handicap accessible, that sort of thing. We arrived at 8 households that fit that criteria. All of them in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, several of them in disabled category. Now, while we're doing, and all of these, like I said, will have American Disabilities Act type of tasks done for the homes. And again, for the most part, it'll be rampage and then revising the bathroom situation there so that it's more accessible, whether they're in walkers, canes, or wheelchairs. We'll try to get it so it has a radius there sufficient for wheelchairs. So we can get them set up, I believe, for living in the home as long as they possibly can, as long as it's feasible. Now, while we're there, and anytime we touch a home with these types of funds, we need to bring all systems up to current codes. So some of these we will also be doing some electrical upgrades, roof replacement, some window replacement, maybe dealing with some drainage issues that are perhaps keeping the crawl space or basement wet. If there are any weak floor systems, we can go in there and get the pier systems, set up pier systems, repair any type of damage to the floors themselves. If there's any HVAC change-out needs to be done, that'll also be accomplished. Plumbing upgrades that are necessary, and of course, while we're in there, any type of energy efficiency task that we can perform will be beneficial for them, helping them with their utility bills. So with these 8 households, we approximate that the costs will be somewhere within the budget. That all that we can apply for is $200,000, and I believe we can accomplish that for these 8 homes. I'll take any questions that you have at this time.
Okay, Brian, we want to make it clear, of course, you and I talked about this several times. it's hard to do for one and not do for another, but still, again, you've got these really strict requirements, and a lot of people don't meet those, so it kind of makes it justifiable. Secondly, we talked about there is a match on this, but you can do in-kind match as far
That is
as
correct.
helping out do some things that maybe we could do or you all could do.
Well, I think we've got an idea. We've got a couple of ideas for us there. As far as the energy efficiency part, the Kentucky Utilities, LGE, has a program called We Care, which they can go in and do an energy audit, which has a value, and then they can do up to approximately $1,000 worth of insulation or weatherization type of work for that. So that's a match. I've also received word recently that, as you all know, I've been involved with Habitat for Humanity of Madison County for many, many years. They have agreed to provide volunteer labor for many of these. There's our match. So we do have the match accomplished. We've got some, we as residents of Madison County can get out there and help our neighbors and friends. And I think I think everybody wins in that situation. It doesn't cost the county a dime,
I just
but a lot of
wanted
goodwill.
to make that clear with the court,
Absolutely.
when we talked about it.
And Judge, if I may, with all of these homes, our office will produce a letter to everybody. And if we came to your home and if you're not on this list of the first 8, we're going to encourage you to just keep in touch with us, and we'll also make references to them. If they need to be referred to Foothills, if they need to be referred to Department for Local Government, we'll handle that. But if they need to be referred to Habitat, well, in other words, we'll give them resources, some housing resources where they can perhaps find some other avenues of solving their problems here.
Now,
'Cause-
is it possible for this to come available next year too, you think?
Possibly.
You think it's a
We
one-time?
will probably need to expend, usually with these types of programs, they want you to expend a very large percentage, if not 100% of all the funds, what they will deem to be 2013 funds. They'll want you to expend all of those before you apply for 2014 dollars. And that's fine, because our office is more than willing to prioritize, because frankly, the work that we're looking at here, we can bid all the ADA work, we can bid all the electrical work, all the HVAC work in one package so that we can get in there and get out. So that's a possibility. Yes, we could roll this every year.
And if you don't mind, talk to the court a little bit about how successful this program's been in some of the surrounding counties.
Oh, it's been very successful. The priority for the home program has shifted. Much of the money that's been spent in this region has been for first-time homeowners. And of course, they had to back off a little bit whenever the housing market got really critical, whenever folks' credit scores couldn't get up, they had too much debt on themselves, and the banks were not lending funds, so there's not credit worthiness there. So they're backing off on the first-time homeowner situation and going into just rehabilitation, just for rehab. But it has been very successful in all surrounding counties, coupled with other grant funds or just standalone. I did one in Winchester, for example, that had a cap, but we were able to match it with weatherization funds. So we use some weatherization, we use some of these home funds, and we're able to really accomplish some good things for about a dozen households. So it's a very successful program.
Okay. Any questions for Brian?
On the program, they do have to, after you do the upgrade, they have to keep it for how many years?
Well, there's not any mandate that you keep it. It may turn. There's a possibility that someone may pass or it may be sold, something along those lines. The grant funds stay with much like a second mortgage, except it has no payments. It has no interest. It still exists. It still stays there until the 10-year period is over with, and at that point, all is forgiven.
So if one of them passes away, then the family won't have to worry about
That is
somebody
correct.
coming in and taking
That's
it
right.
away.
There's not going to be the Kentucky Housing Corporation rolling in there saying, hey, I want my money back, because it's not the original owner. What we find typically is, and there's always, every case is a little bit different, but what we find is the main criteria here is to serve persons of low to moderate means. As long as it remains in that family, and a person of low to moderate means is still residing in it, they're good. And what we usually find is then a family member may find themselves moving in if that primary resident has passed on. A family member moves in, and that works best for the family, works best for everyone.
It sounds like a good program.
Rogers, you have anything, any comments? Bill Ray? Larry? After Brian's little presentation, would the court be in support of going on with this program, this home grant for housing renovation program for the Greens Crossing area?
I'll make a motion to that order.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes, thanks, Brian.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you coming in. Next, we have our bond resolution for First Christian Church. And I see that we're well represented, First Christian Church
Sent by
today.
our attorney from Louisville. I'm surprised Charlie must have been chosen.
And I really Charlie didn't come, he called, but there really isn't anything other than all we do is, and he's gonna send the resolution, but it's just a resolution authorizing me to sign the much-needed paperwork to allow them to go on and get started on the bond work. They're talking with, I'm sure you all have talked to banks, and I see your bankers sitting there, so I figured that you've done that, Glenn, and everything's pretty much in line, so I think the next thing, we've been approved through the state finance director. Everything's okay other than the court doing a resolution, and what we need to do is just the court authorize me to sign the necessary paperwork to go on and authorize selling these bonds. And
Place with the judge, so just be, the bank will buy all the whole issue, so it's not it doesn't go out to the general public or whatever.
so, a motion will be in order to authorize me to sign the resolution when I get it. I didn't get it today. I was supposed to got it this morning, but I didn't get it.
So you sent it about a week ago to,
Francis?
yeah. Well, I thought it was in your name, but I got it. I have a copy of it if you'd like to have copies of it. Actually, notice for the hearing.
Well, Frances got it. She's been working around the clock, so if she's got it, we'll have it.
Yeah, it is here.
Okay, good. I have a motion, authorize me to sign the resolution for the bond sale for the First Christian Church.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes, and it looks like that you all are really going to work up there. You got the parking lot in and forming walls. I was by there yesterday, and you're already pouring walls and stuff, so it looks like it's right on track. But again, we're glad to help you all, seriously. It's going to be a beautiful facility right on Main Street, and we're all excited about it. And I'll get with Johnny today, and we'll get the resolution signed and get on with the sale of the bonds.
We thank you very much.
All right, Glenn,
It made a big difference for us.
thank y'all for coming in. We appreciate it.
Good luck.
You're welcome to stay if you want to. Nobody ever stays.
Well, that means you can leave, John.
I'd love to, but.
Next, we've had some problems with reimbursing CSEP. Of course, it's all federal money, but it goes through the state. And seems like the state has changed a requirement about this and a requirement about that, and now they have an auditor on board that has to approve any and all reimbursements, and it got to the point where they owed us a whole lot of money. So Carl and his staff and Michael and everybody has sat down. They met last week. I've had several meetings with General Hutzel, who's a friend of mine, and he's assured me that all this is going to be worked out. Seems like the one thing the auditors have requested from us, and we can do it by resolution, or I can do it by just an executive order. It's authorizing the change in the per diem for the Madison County Chemical Stockpile Emergency Preparedness Program. And it's short, brief. It's the Madison County Chemical Stockpile Emergency Preparedness Program. Department requests a policy change due to the recommendations from the state auditors, and implementing these recommendations will allow us to do more closely follow their guidelines and therefore make the financial reimbursement process that much more efficient, because we need it more efficient. And whereas the state auditors recommend that Madison County specifies the daily per diem for food reimbursement only to be $35 per day or $15 per half day. And the CSEP department requests the policy change be made to reflect this recommendation. So it was a very small matter, but it's something that the state auditors requested. And at this time, I'd like to go on and do it by resolution so the court can vote on it. But motion, well, Carl's here to answer questions, or Michael, if there are any questions about this. But this is what's allowed anyway, but they've been turning in vouchers for food and stuff like this. So in other words, what this will get it down to is, hey, you're getting $35 a day for food and you're getting $15 for half a day. And that would make them happy, and whatever we can do to make them happy makes us happy, because we get our money a whole lot quicker. So if there are no questions, Carl, no questions for Carl, Michael, a motion be in order to approve Resolution 1219, which would just really set the food to reimbursement for $35 per day per diem or $15 per half day.
So moved.
Second.
Pastor King,
Yes.
Pastor Barger,
Yes.
Pastor Hughes,
Yes.
Pastor Combs,
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Judge's report, a few things. The CAECO conference is this week. That's always exciting. It's huge. We get the biggest crowds of all the conferences there, and I think that kicks off Wednesday and runs through Friday, Roger, Wednesday through Friday. So, we'd like to see a big crowd there. Update, you all have seen the blue tarps over on our new annex building on the corner. Seems we had an accident, and we had people, Dwayne was there on the spot within 10 minutes, and apparently a RPD cruiser ran through a caution light and hit a car and knocked it into the building. So what we're going to do, as always, is we're going to ask CAECO to come over and do an evaluation and fix an estimate. And I met with Brad Black this morning, and he's going to ask Bill Pickering, who was the design engineer on the building, to come over before anything is settled to make sure that there's no outside or internal damage that we can't see, or an insurance adjuster can't see, because we've got about $6 million in that building and we want it put back the way it was. The stone's going to be really hard to match up, but I think we can get really close on that. But we want to ensure that it's put back the way it was built. So we'll be working with that, but all the insurance companies are aware of that. And then I think CAECO will go back to the cities, Insurance League of Cities, to get reimbursed, but that's up to the insurance companies. But we are covered, and it will be fixed just as soon as possible. Want to send condolences out on behalf of the fiscal court and all employees on Ross Golden. Ross was an animal shelter employee, and he's doing a great job, and just kind of passed away in his sleep. His funeral was yesterday, and it's hard to lose a good employee. I know Keith isn't here today, but Keith I talked to him on a regular basis, and he talked like he had the best crew out there that he'd had in years and years and years and years. So it's hard to lose somebody like Ross, who did a great job, and he took his job to heart. I talk to Linda about every day, and she just, from Linda and Greg Ginner, as he continues to improve, they send so many thanks to everybody that's brought food, that's visited. A lot of times he gets too many visitors, and he really doesn't need that many. But he's continuing to improve. He's taking a shower. He's getting sleep. They were going back to the doctor today. The big thing was a blood clot in his leg, and I think they're working on that. But he's been through a tough time, and he's very lucky to live. That same rupture is what killed my dad. And he couldn't get to the hospital in time, and Greg did. He probably had 15 or 20 minutes to get there, and then was very fortunate to have a surgeon that was available that could cut him open and work on that valve, on that aorta. So they just want to thank everybody, because everybody's been so friendly checking on them. Several other employees, sickness and death. Scott's mother-in-law just died. Philip's mom just died. It seems like it comes in spurts, and we've had a lot of hardship with our family, our employees. So we just feel sorry for all of them, and please remember these employees. And last but not least, I'm going to let Philip talk about the tree, but if y'all can see, it's beautiful. But shop local for the holidays. There's a whole lot of stuff over here with the new Richmond Center that you can find about anything you want. And stay out of Lexington when you can. Stay in Richmond. It helps everybody. That's all I had in the judge's report, so I'll go on into department heads. And Philip, if you want to go first, because I know you want to talk about the tree lighting.
Good morning, gentlemen. Everyone can see that the community Christmas tree is up. Leroy and his crew got that from down around Kingston somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where. And we're going to be having our community Christmas tree lighting ceremony on Friday, December the 7th at 6 p.m. here at the front of the courthouse. The parade starts at 7. This is a cooperative effort between this court and the Richmond City Commission, the Richmond Tourism, Madison County Fire Department, Richmond Fire Department, Madison County Road Department, Historic Properties, Chamber of Commerce, and the Battle of Richmond Association. We thought that instead of just going out and here we are and we're going to turn a light on, we thought we might start a new tradition of significant groups that have an anniversary coming up would be the part of the ceremony. This year, with it being the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Richmond, it's just a natural. Next year, we have another little surprise on the 200th anniversary of an organization that's in Madison County. Then we'll move on from there. Want to invite everybody out, come downtown. They can hang around until the parade starts. There'll be plenty of vendors and different organizations. Another activity that's going to be going on is on December the 15th and 16th. We'll be having the 2012 Journey to Christmas Past at Irvington. This is a cooperative effort between Richmond Tourism, Historic Properties, and the Battle of Richmond Association. And if you have any questions, I'll be here, and appreciate everything that you do, looking out and keeping me off the street. So Doug appreciates that a lot. So
Thanks, Phil.
Judge, I want to commend Philip out at the Farm City Banquet. He spoke on the Battle of Richmond and done a fine job. Everybody's really impressed with him.
Philip, good job. Department heads, let's see. Dwayne, you've got something?
You was asked some time ago for a report.
It was a very simple, small report that he asked for, a 10-year comparison. Nobody's too surprised with Mr. Hughes' request for the simple reports. But I've got a,
Teach you to be careful what you ask for.
be careful what you ask for. That's what he said. Now he's got to do something with the information I'm giving him.
You'll read it.
He's already been reading it. I've been watching him. See if I can get this thing to come on. What I've attempted to do here is, first I've attempted to get the projector to come on. What I've attempted to do here is give you a snapshot of all the activity in the codes office for the past 10 years. And with what limited information I've been able to receive from Richmond and Berea, we've been able to do a little bit of comparison with some of their statistics as well. This is a 10-year snapshot, and basically what I've done on the pages as you peruse through them, and I won't bore you with all the gory details from every page, but beginning with 2002 and on through, you'll see we've broken up the number of permits and the estimated construction cost for each of the permit categories for each year for the past 10 years. And starting with 2002, you'll see we started out with about 46 million, and then each year it jumped up a little bit. The next year was 56 million. 04 began the real spike in the community, and we jumped up to $89 million in total construction cost in 04, with about 73 million of that all being new single-family homes. We average about, over the past 10 years, we average constructing about 225 new homes per year out in the county. That's just new home construction. Then 05, it jumped up to 82 million. Then we began to see the downward trend that's lasted for the last several years. 06, we dropped back down to 67 million. 07, 42 million. 8 was 58 million. 09 was 24 million. 10 was 22 million. 11 was 21 million. And in 2012, we're almost back to where we started in 2002. 2002 was 45 million. We're right at 35 million. And that was as of the end of November. So we've still got December's numbers to plug into that, but that may jump up another $3 or $4 million. So we'll be close to $40 million by the end of 2012 for all construction costs there. As we work our way on through there, I've done it in primarily because I know Mr. Hughes likes graphs and charts pretty well. I've laid him out with some different charts and graphs to just kind of show how this thing looks. Over this 10-year period, the estimated construction cost for just Madison County was almost $545 million worth of construction throughout Madison County. These are the total numbers of actual permits that were issued, starting with 2002 being on the far left, 2012 being on the far right, and again, that's just to the end of November. No real surprises in the trends that we see. It's the same that we see everywhere. This is the information that I was able to obtain from City of Berea. They had not compiled their 2012 reports yet, but they indicate it's going to be in the same general area as 2011. But you'll see they started in 2001 with about $22 million worth of construction. 2011 they got up to, or they were back at about 14 million, and they anticipate this year's totals will be about the same as last year's. This is a comparison of the past 10 years with City of Richmond, City of Berea, and the county. City of Richmond's totals for the past 10 years was right at $350 million. City of Berea was about $227 million, and we were right at $545 million for the past 10 years. I was really surprised with the development of Richmond Center that Richmond's numbers weren't higher than that. I figured theirs would be up more into the $400 million range, but it wasn't. So the total construction cost for all of Madison County was just a little over, for the past 10 years, was a little over $1 billion in construction in Madison County in the last 10
The
years.
Army Depot.
I'm sorry?
No.
No, this is nothing on the depot. This is nothing on Eastern's campus, nothing on any of Eastern Kentucky University's property at all. This is all other private property. These are new homes. That's always a number that seems to trigger the developmental issues here in the county. And you'll see in 2002, we issued permits for about $39 million worth of new homes. The highest year was 2004 with almost $73 million worth of new homes. And then in this year, we were back up to about 26 million. We had dropped down to 14 million being the lowest in the last 10 years, which was last year. And this year it has picked up, and we've noticed it picked up quite a bit from what it was last year. The other indicator that we look at, and this looks a little strange with the large number there in 2008, but that was the year that we did 2 sewer plants out in the county that totaled just about that whole amount, $27 million worth of construction there. So commercial, not a lot of commercial activity out in the county. Most of that is comprised of churches, church additions, maybe a little shopping center here and there. But for the most part, we don't have much commercial activity out in the county. Most of what we're seeing in the county is primarily residential.
You got
Mechanical,
two
I'm sorry?
new Dollar Generals.
Yeah, we got 2 new Dollar Generals, and it's my understanding they've got offers on 2 other pieces of property to build 2 more out in the county.
Is that
And they're
right?
wanting to build 2 more in the city of Berea. So they're proposing to build 50 in the city of Lexington this next year. Mechanical permits, any HVAC equipment changeouts or new installation work for heating and air systems, they're all required to have permits now according to the state, and those are the numbers there. Those stay fairly steady. 2005 was the first year that those permits were mandated. That's why it just goes back to 2005. Electrical permits, new services, service changes, rewirings, wiring of new houses, those things all require electric permits. Those are the electrical permits that we've issued for the last 7-year total there. This is just a snapshot of the revenues that we've generated through our office since 2003. Total revenues generated right at $2 million. You can see our first year there in '03 brought in about $205,000. The highest was $284,000, and then this year, as of the end of November, I guess, was $168,000. So. The other brown booklet that you've got there is a subdivision study that actually Ron Marino had started. He did a 50-year subdivision study going from the 1950s through 1999. And then what we've tried to do, because that information is really good information to have, we've continued that study right on each year and keep adding the numbers to it. But you'll see there, the bottom line is 62% of all the subdivisions in the county were all developed since 1990. Prior to that, you can see the numbers. In the 50s, there were only 5 subdivisions developed then. The 60s, there were 22. The 70s, there was 33. 80s, 37. And then you see the spike there in the 90s and the 2000s. So those are interesting numbers to just kind of show the development patterns in the county, and we've got that broken down into quadrants so we know how many subdivisions are in each quadrant. We can kind of track where the development's taking place through the county and work our way through it. So, any questions?
What they said is about 4,000 vacant lots in subdivisions in Madison County right now.
Yeah, and that's just major subdivisions. That's not individual farms where they've cut off 2 or 3 acres here. That's just within major subdivisions.
4,000, if you build 200 houses a year, that's 20 years' worth of lots that's available.
That's right.
We didn't develop another one
But there hadn't been a development proposed in
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I remember several years ago in '04 and '05, the planning commission was concerned we was getting too many subdivisions. And we came and talked to the judge about it, and the judge said, the economy will take care of the development of subdivisions. And it did. We've had one new subdivision in the last 2 years, and that was Wilshire Walk out on 4 Mile, and it's about 80% complete right now. But it's all smaller homes, 112 to maybe 125 or $130,000 homes on 1 acre lots, and that turned out really well. But most of the other lots that we have are deed restricted lots that you'd have to build anything probably over 250 or 275 in order to be able to even build in them. You know, we've got one subdivision within Boone's Trace that has 320 some lots that's got maybe 8 houses in it. So
The biggest, growth that I see is in residential and remodeling.
yeah,
If it wasn't for that, it would be way down, wouldn't it?
that's right.
And
And
then everybody's remodeling.
yeah, and typically what we see is if new construction's up, remodelings are down. Everybody says, hey, everybody's building, I'm gonna get out of this house and go build me a new one. If new construction goes down, then they say, I'm just gonna fix up where I'm at, I'm gonna build that garage on, or put the pool in, or give my wife that new kitchen she's been wanting, and I'm gonna stay where I'm at, I'm not going anywhere. And so we see those numbers fluctuate. When one goes up, the other goes down.
Do you see us ever getting back to 2005?
Wow. It'd be a while. I bet it'll be 10 years if we get back there then.
Hope we get back there.
Yeah, if we get back there then, because that was an unusual time. We really had there was a lot going on, but, all right.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Yes, sir.
In the 1950 decade, there were more houses than there were lots. Was that 2 houses on 1 lot?
Some of it was. Yeah, some of it was, because obviously in the 50s and up until the 90s, there were no regulations governing it. So a lot of that was multiple houses going on lots. There were, of course, there were no lot requirements as far as lot sizing. That's where you end up with a lot of the smaller lots that are, they might have a quarter of an acre in them and be on septics. And those are the areas that we're working now to try to get municipal sewers provided to, because they're non-functioning. But yeah,
Thanks, Dwayne.
thank you.
Department head, wait a second.
Good morning. My name's Josh Aldridge. I'm an agent with the Madison County Home Incarceration Program. Michelle's feeling a little under the weather today, and she asked me to step in, send her apologies. She said she'll have a full report of our clients and financials next week, or the next meeting, I'm sorry. I did just want to let you know we have currently 42 individuals on home incarceration bracelets. Along with that, we have 7 individuals on scram bracelets. What a scram bracelet is it detects your alcohol intake. It also goes on your ankle. Every 30 minutes, it'll take a reading of your blood alcohol level. It sends any levels of alcohol it detects to an alcohol monitoring company. They'll read the levels and determine if maybe, it was just a shot of mouthwash that has alcohol in it that shot it up, or if it was an actual alcohol consumption. If so, it sends a report to us letting us know that the individual has violated that. Like I said, we've got 7 individuals on the scram bracelets as of now. We have 3 more waiting today to be hooked up. So as of this afternoon, we'll have a total of 52 individuals on a bracelet. We've got 1 individual waiting to be hooked up on December 4th. As you can see, our office is really busy. We stay busy in court, stay busy hooking up. Our evening call-outs to come to the jail and hook individuals up late hours, that's staying busy as well. So are there any questions?
No, I think it's a good program. I mean, I know Doug's tickled to death with it. You get 52 out of his face. So y'all do a good job. Just watch what you're doing, though.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you all.
Okay, Carl, I'll get to you, Doug, in just a second.
There's been a discrepancy about what time it is. Our time we have is different than the time that your office has, but somewhere between 11 and 11:30, depending on whose timeline you use, we'll have the ceremony for the Storm Ready certification with National Weather Service out of Louisville. They'll be down here. We went through all that entire process through the summer and finished it up and got our Storm Ready certification in July, and they're coming today to present the certificate and our 2 road signs and all that stuff. So I don't know how many counties in Kentucky have went through the program, but it's pretty stringent now. In the last 2 years, it's had a major upgrade. The old program, you could kind of do 3 or 4 things and you'd get your certification. Now there's like 4 pages of things you have to do. So we completed them all. I'm very proud of the group. Everyone worked together, and we'll be getting our certification, official certificate today. Like I said, somewhere either 11 or 11:30, depending on who's got the right time.
Okay.
So if you can stick around, we'd love to have you. Thanks.
Carl. Okay, Doug?
You talked about the 52 people, and we're at 280 right now. So it's a big help. Home incarceration is. I'm here today to my policy and procedure manual to change some literature in there. Our isolation log rounds that we make are 20-minute round that we make. Department of Corrections says we can do that by the hour and not 20 minutes, and I don't see a reason why we push ourselves to do that 20 minutes. And I wasn't aware that Department of Corrections said we could do it by the hour. So just want to make you all aware that we're going to change that by the hour. We may get there at 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but we have an hour to work with instead of being at 20 minutes that we have to be there.
Doug, do you think is that what you really want?
Yes. I've talked with Mark about it. The Department of Corrections also talked with them about it, and they asked why we weren't using it. Going by that hour. Mark thinks it's a good idea, and still, that gives us that hour, but not saying we'll do it on the hour, but just gives us an hour to get there because we have 280 inmates, 5 and 6 employees on a shift at a time. We have a lot going on over there to do, and I'd rather give us that hour to work within that 20 minutes if we can't make that round at that time.
So if you have any indication that there could be a problem with someone, you're going to monitor.
Sure. If you have anybody that's there for if you have anybody in isolation that's suicidal or mentally, for any kind of reason, that's where you require that you go back. I mean, the DLC Department of Corrections states you have to check these at those times. So this hour is just for the ones that are in for disciplinary reasons, for not any kind of emotional or suicidal reasons. Those kind of people that you still have to do 5 and 10 minute checks on also. So that kind of excludes them out of what it does. But just a person sitting for disciplinary reasons, things like that, then that gives us an hour to work with.
Well, it is a state law one. I mean, is it 1 hour?
1 hour.
When did they change it?
I'm not aware of that. Talked with Department of Corrections a couple of weeks ago and knew it was an hour. When they changed it, I don't know. 'Cause our jail inspector is asking why we didn't do an hour.
Well, I just knew in the past that it was 20, so.
Yeah.
I mean, you know more about it than I do, I'm sure.
And again, I wasn't aware of it either until I talked with Jackie Bodenheimer, and she made us aware of it, so.
Do you need anything from the court to change the policy?
I don't know. I don't know if it has to be approved. I don't know.
Well,
I just know I have to make the court aware of it.
Okay, so it's on Doug's recommendation, then a motion on approve the policy.
So moved.
Second.
Master King?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes,
Thank you so much.
thanks, Doug. Any other department heads? Mike, do you have anything?
Other than we're still working on the budget, we should have something to meet with you here before too long.
Okay, good deal. Magistrates, Greg?
I was going to ask Doug while he's up there. Did the state come and take any of our prisoners? I know you talked about that.
They haven't yet. Again, we do our building or our population report every Thursday. They haven't yet. They They take some by, also grade by paroling them out or putting them home incarceration. Department of Corrections does home incarcerations also. So they do that by taking them out also. But as far as they come in and taking 15 or 20, they haven't yet. They haven't yet. That's not saying they won't tomorrow, but they have not yet.
Did you say they did, there's some of those get out on home incarceration?
Department of Corrections actually, Ann Walton, DOC, takes care of all that. They actually do that also.
Well, do we still get the money for it? If they're on home incarceration? You
No.
don't get the $31 or 32 or whatever it is. I never did figure out exactly what it is.
31, 34. But no, we don't receive any money for those.
We're doing them a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Greg, anything else?
No, that's good.
Roger?
Went to the library meeting last night, and of course, they give me all the information every time I go about the number of people that visit the library, and it just keeps climbing. And all the programs are doing good, and the library does a lot of things that people just don't realize if you don't go there. And I made the mistake to go to the Brill Library last week instead of this Monday night a week ago. So instead of making a fool out of myself, I just went in and sat down and got me a book, started reading it, and I couldn't believe the number of people that was in there. You know, but I go to the meetings all the time, and I walk in. There's usually a crowd there, but you don't pay much attention to them. But it's unbelievable how many people uses the library, and people that doesn't have computers that goes there to use them. You know, and the best thing that they've started in the last few weeks, they do this all the time. They call them pilot projects, and a local career counselor here in the county has volunteered her time every Friday to go in for a half a day in Berea and a half a day in Richmond and talk to people about trying to get them a job. And that's only been going on, let's see if I can read it, I can't remember, but it's been going on 3 weeks. One person's already got a job and another one's already got an interview. And she's having 8 sessions a Friday, and it's doing well. And it's just another one of those things that the library does that probably a lot of people doesn't know about. But some of the people that was coming in there said, we just kind of need somebody to talk to, and this lady volunteered her time. So that's just another thing that they do for us. And the library's doing good. I want to mention a little bit about the taxing district. Of course, the Valley View Ferry was in there, and I had warned our bookkeeper that she'd probably be getting something by email or mail. We never got anything. We never got anything to fill out. So, but as far as a taxing district, we're not. But we still, we probably would have to fill out this form anyway that they'd be sending. But our money comes from 3 counties in the state, and the 3 counties gives about a third of what the state does. But still yet, we don't have a tax that we charge. Just want everybody to know that.
So where Pulaski County's
Trying to do
petitioning
away
to
with
do
their
away with their library. They just want a little more control, and we've talked about that forever and ever and ever. Bill Ray?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of talk about the taxing districts and state auditors that doing a big study, and the Register had a nice article the other day on tax districts, but I still say this, until they zero in on that glitch and that compensating rate, they're missing the big issue with these taxing districts, because that glitch has allowed so many of these taxing districts to fleece taxpayers. And if they don't fix that, then like the old preacher said, it sounded like a dull chainsaw on a seasoned log, making a lot of noise, but not getting much done. So that's a big deal to me. So I'm be curious, because I haven't seen that they've latched in on that yet.
He'll be at the conference, Billy Ray. You can talk to him about it.
Yeah, I will. I sent his man a letter on it. I hadn't heard anything from him.
Larry?
Maybe you need to get a little softer law. Judge, I thought we had a very good meeting with the 2 cities in the county Tuesday. I guess we accomplished a lot, but I guess we're all headed in the right direction. So I thought we had.
Well, it's good when all 3 of us can get together and talk about things, then look at things down the road. We're not going to accomplish a whole lot right now, but if we're looking and planning and look at things 2 and 3 and 4 years from now that we can do, I think that's a A+. I really do.
Well, if we all stay on the same page, it's going to really help the people of Madison County. And Another thing, I would like to compliment the staff here in the courthouse. Courthouse is clean as I've ever seen it. It looks very good. I'd like to compliment them. And Judge, when could we get a meeting set up with State on 10/16/4/21? I know you want to
I was
come.
going to bring that up. I talked to Ballinger the other day, and he said it probably would be sometime the latter part of next week.
Yeah, we've had several deaths, and it seems like there's an accident every week. I don't have a solution. I've sat there for hours and hours at a time watching those people that stop there, and some stop and some don't.
It's just, and James says, one of those situations where there isn't a whole lot you can do, when we
I
tried.
don't have an answer.
And we've been working, a lot of our federal overtime, we broke it down in certain areas of the county. And that's one area, 421/10/16, that we applied our units to be working overtime. And it's been very productive right there in that one area.
Well, I'm sure it is. It's a tough little place.
Tough area, but he has agreed to meet with us, Larry. He's going to try to fit us in the end of next week.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Sure have.
The only other thing I'd say is the accident that happened to her annex was on the wrong corner. Should have been on this corner.
Got to be careful what you wish for.
I know it. Other than that, Judge, I'm just glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Comments from the audience? Hello, Debbie. Come on up.
Good morning, magistrates,
Good morning.
Mr. Barger, Judge Executive. I hate missing any of your meetings because I like hearing your comments, and it gets me to learn so much about the county and be proud of it. I have been away, though, with hurricane cleanup, so I ask you to keep praying for those people in New York, my family included. Thank you. I have to report back to the Madison County Tax Watchers, as you know, and I never want to give any inaccurate information. And so bear with me because I'm going to ask a question now to see if I've got something straight. As far as that bonding issue with First Christian Church, I did not hear that we're putting any money into that, only that we're approving it to go forward and that the bank is taking on all the bonding.
Yes, we have
Okay.
absolutely no obligation whatsoever.
Okay.
If they go under, the bank eats the bonds. The Madison Fiscal Court, the taxpayers of Madison County have absolutely no obligation towards those issuance of those bonds.
Okay, and I appreciate that explanation because I did miss the last meeting and I think it began there, perhaps the discussion. And I thank you all for your comments, especially that we are, as a tax watchers group, going to try to have a meeting, which we're setting up now, to address these taxing districts, which have been heavily discussed over the last couple of years. I know that this is not your ownness. In other words, you're just dealing with it like other people are dealing with it. Perhaps, Judge Executive, you can give a small glimpse into how that works and why some of them are not compliant. Who is responsible for getting that compliance for the taxpayers? Is it the auditor's office, and is that why he's brought this to light?
It's really, Debbie, it's twofold, and you've got different ones that were set up. Some of them, most of them were set up by the court. If you're looking at the one in Pulaski County that was set up by petition of people in the county. The library is a kind of a different scenario. The library, really, the board nominates to and sends to archives, and then archives sends me those two particular names to make a decision on. The health board is another board that really nominates their own. They've got a criteria where they have to have a nurse and an engineer and a doctor and so on and so forth and so on. But they're another taxing district that really recommends their board members and then will really send them to the state health board. They come more under the state than they do the county, where you have the soil conservation. Of course, they nominate 2 people, 2 men and 2 women each year. They send them to me to get okay. EMS is really one that we split up. It's divided between the 2 cities in the county because they service everybody. So they're all under a little bit of different criteria. The water districts really come under the court's appointment. But when you get into the taxing districts, they kind of nominate themselves, several of them do. So I think that's what a lot of people are looking at is a little more compliance, a little more, I want to say, accountability, where they're just not taking care of each other. I know several years ago I had to call archives and talk to Wayne, and they were trying to put 1 or 2 individuals on the library board that I just wouldn't have, and had to go through a little detail on that. But they work with you. I mean, they'll work with you. But we've been very fortunate. We've had a great EMS board and a soil conservation board. I mean, those people on soil conservation, and it's tough for me because they send me 2 men and 2 women, and I remember 19 years ago, the first thing John Wilson walked in and threw down a piece of paper. And I said, well, John, I've known all 4 of those people all my life. I can't pick 2 of them out. And he said, well, you got to. That's part of the job. So we try to alternate, but, we've got such good people on the boards. I mean, we really do. And, of course, as you know, the school board is elected from districts. So I don't see anything that the General Assembly or anybody else could do about a school board. But probably they could do something like Billy Ray said about the compensating rate, where it would have to come to fiscal court, where that board, that taxing district didn't have the authority to raise a tax without the authority of the fiscal court. And I can see that maybe happening because there are a lot of taxing districts that do run rampant and have got tons and tons of money. If you look at the Pulaski County situation, they've got one bond that's $9.5 million. Well, if they do away with that, somebody has got to pay for it. Well, who's responsible? If the fiscal court didn't appoint the members, then they're not really responsible, but that's probably who it'd fall back on. So it needs a little more accountability. It needs, especially when taxes are involved, especially when raising taxes, especially when you've got more money than you need. I understand that when you're looking at building a new building or you need to upgrade a building or upgrade equipment or something, that you need a reserve. Everybody needs a reserve. I mean, I agree with that 100%. But there are a lot of taxing districts in the state that have just huge amounts of money in surplus, and it isn't right. I don't believe in that. So I think what we're looking at is the compensating rate, and also with all these districts, given the fiscal courts who are elected by the residents of the people of the county, giving us maybe just a little bit of more authority to regulate. I think I can see that happening, but I might be wrong. I don't know. I mean, but I think that's what the majority of the residents are looking for, is their elected officials. I mean, we went through so much with the smoking ban, and gosh, everybody was, wait a second now, we didn't elect any of them. They kind of appointed themselves, and a lot of people felt like that we should have had some say into that because we are elected by all the residents of Madison County. So those are the things that I can see coming in the upcoming couple of years with the General Assembly because of the of really I shouldn't say pressure, but the transparency that Adam Elan, the new auditor, is put on them, because it's kind of been just business as usual, and nobody's really looked at them. So, and Adam's a friend of mine, but Adam just felt like it was something that needed to be addressed, and he's addressing it, and then I think that will catch some heads in the General Assembly, and I think, in the next couple of years, you'll see something happen.
Yes, thank you, because I think government works best when it's the local government overseen with the input of the people, as we see here. You couldn't help but notice that the Kentucky River Foothills was listed as having a $5 million overage to what their actual budget was and what their revenue is, what their cash on hand. I don't think it's cash on hand, but I think it's just revenue. And so we who sit here, if they come to you in the fiscal court, we can say to you, no, they don't need money. As you said, they have a big reserve somehow. And they raise money too. We know that some of these taxing districts are not completely governmental, that they somewhat raise their money too. And we can respect that, but we can also respect that the hand does not belong in the pocket, if that's the case. There's no justification there. But we, as a tax watch person, I appreciate your point of view, and that I'm glad to see that Adam Edelin has an eye on this, and I know it will do good, because if I cannot ask in an open records request any of these 13 districts for a document to see what their finances are or what their audit was, then where is the accountability if that doesn't exist? So we have to get down to tax right now, brass tacks pretty much, and say, you've got a lot of leeway. Taxing districts, special districts here have a lot of leeway, and they're not all taxing districts, but some of them are. Give us what we're asking for.
This morning on the news, there was a comment made from the governor's office, or staff, I guess, about some open records that were denied, and they're looking into that. So, that's good. Let me say one other word about what you're talking about. I, for one, as a magistrate elected official, I welcome that challenge that we get to set those rates. And I'll give you one good reference. Cable television. When we had cable television, I was here when we started. $9.25 a month. We gave them a 25-cent raise the first time, a 50-cent the second time, and then Congress put their head in it and deregulated. What do you pay today?
Phenomenal.
I'll guarantee you
about
it
$100
wouldn't be that much if this court had anything to do with it, but we don't. And, your watch group, I'd welcome y'all to go to Washington and see what you can do on the Cliff bill, because that resolution's going to have to do something.
We got to conquer Kentucky first.
It costs a little money to get up there and lobby, and I'm sure there's big lobbyists up there.
We don't have the money to lobby, but we do have the people in the group that want to put this together and make sense of it. And that's the first thing you have to do before you speak.
Well, when you're elected, you got to be accountable. When you're appointed, you do what you want. It's simple as that.
Yes.
Right, Judge?
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other audience participation? If not, motion would be to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Master King?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Yes.
What is it, Matt?